Going live. Hey, there we are. We're live, guys. What's going on? What's happening?
Wait.
What's up? As I bang my microphone and cause audio noise.
There's
Is that
DJ
Little
Scott
music?
Smith in the house. Hey,
Let's go.
everybody. Thanks for tuning in here midday on a Wednesday. It's hump day. Super excited about today's live demo. We titled this The Ultimate Growth Education and Engagement Toolkit, and I just noticed I spelled engagement wrong, so I don't want any I don't need any comments from the peanut gallery on my spelling or lack
I
thereof.
fixed it on mine. So it's,
Of course you did.
It's
Of course
happy.
you
You know, there's AI technology for that, right?
There is. But the AI doesn't help for fat fingering and speed spelling. So, hey, I'm excited about this. What we're going to show you all today. You know, I've been on here talking about Key Steps, powered by FinLocker. Key Steps is our FinLocker's version of our financial fitness and homeownership app that we've traditionally made available to loan officers through lenders that license our product on an enterprise basis. And we have 35 lenders with a white label version of this technology out in the marketplace. And we launched Key Steps almost 8 months ago to serve the broader loan officer community that weren't necessarily part of one of our enterprise relationships. And there's all kinds of reasons why I'm excited for this, the three of us to be on screen together. And I'm going to start with the longest relationship of the three of us that I have personally is with you, Eric. I think I met you. Well, I was watching you and your podcast, The Walk, before we ever met. And I was kind of like, this guy's got it going on. He's got a cool podcast, great title, great guest, great interviewer. I didn't really know anything about what you all were doing, although you and I, our paths crossed way decades ago in different lives. But once we met for the first time and kind of started putting our heads together on what our companies and products were doing and how we were serving really the same audience, I don't know how many dinners and drinks we've had where we've talked about we've got to get something in place. We got to do something together. It just makes all the sense in the world. And so that finally came together here. We're bringing that to life here in 2025.
Yep.
And then very coincidentally, Scotty and I have been kind of hooked up, and I found him kind of the same way I found you, Eric. I saw Scott all of a sudden showing up on my screen every morning at 9 o'clock. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? What's going on here? And I started paying attention, and he was kind enough to ask me on stage a couple times to talk about FinLocker and Key Steps. And there's a lot of things that there's a lot of technology out there. There's a lot of vendors out there. There's loan officers are inundated with tools and toolkits, and frankly, they're limited with budget. And I think what we're trying to do together is truly help the loan officer community and help them in a way that's meaningful, both from an execution perspective, but also from a budget perspective. And that's why we're excited about what we're going to show you guys today. But before we get into kind of the products, let's just let you guys do a quick intro of yourself, and a audience, don't mind Eric. He's a little distracted. He's about 5 or 6 hours from kickoff. He owns a soccer team that's playing in the semifinals tonight, so he may be a little distracted.
Like Scott with the audio, man. Like you're the producer of the crew. Yeah, Brian, thanks for that. Yeah, little side note, Hickory FC. If anybody's interested in lower league soccer, feel free to go to Hickory FC on Facebook or Instagram, and you can see what we're doing. It's a lot of fun, and funny enough, it's been it's kind of a reminder of some of the things that we are going to talk about even on this podcast. Is that best practices cross over into so many different industries, right? Like, you know, you and we'll talk about words today that I try to stay away from, like the word recruiting, because there's a different, you know, recruiting is a verb But there is an outcome to that verb, and it goes way beyond the word recruiting. But Brian, I love when you talk about how when we met each other, because you don't like this story, but it always reminds me of a conference that I was at forever ago where nobody knew who I was. I had no brand recognition. I was building a recruiting firm at the time and doing consulting work with companies, helping them scale and grow retail, wholesale correspondent. And I said, man, I'm going to get a meeting with that guy, Brian View, that's running Flagstar. I'm going to go get a meeting with that guy. And I think I did get to meet you and shake your hand, but Brian View's calendar was way too busy at the time for some peon like 11. Yeah. And then now I will say you are one of my best friends in this industry without a doubt. We, in talking about what we're going to talk about today, whether it's can help a user, engage with proper metrics to then have more impactful conversations, or whether it's what Scott does and what he's learned over the years in coaching around identification, engagement, conversion, whether it's engaging with originators or branches, or whether it's engaging with agents, or whether it's engaging with borrowers or past borrowers, there is a trust component to all of this. And so, with what we've done, we took the best practices of business development, right? The services side of things, and said, there has to be a better way. So our brains come from not tech, not numbers, but actual action and outcome. And so I think that's where you and I have always hit it off, because if I see that you're on the attendee list of the conference, I just know I got to go grab breakfast or lunch with my guy and learn as much as I can.
Cool. Well, the feelings mutual. So thanks for that, Eric. Scott, give us tell everybody knows who you are. All I got to do is show up at 9 a.m. every Monday through Thursday. And
I appreciate that, man. Yeah. So no, I've been in the mortgage business for 20 plus years, man. I've had the pleasure to try to help people to have success in their business and buy up-to-date tool, system, strategy, stay visible, use social media the right way. The beautiful part about what we're doing here that I'm uber excited about is Brian, you have something unique where we're going to talk about where it's at the thought of thinking about buying, selling, or investing. And then Eric has an amazing tool, data, where I don't know, what is it? I heard this number again this morning, like how many 70, it's a high 70% or even 80% of the agents in the industry haven't closed a deal in the last 12 months. So if you are out there trying to shotgun it, or like, hey man, I'm just going to try to get lucky and use one of these tools to connect, engage, interact with realtor partners or whatever. The beautiful part about what we are doing is I was always coaching and then go get the data. Now we have the data and I can coach around the data, which is a beautiful thing. And so I'm just excited that Brian, we've only known each other for, I think it's 4 or 5 months, but it feels like 40, 50 years. I think we went to different schools together at kindergarten or something, and then Eric and I have become fast friends. We kind of speak the same language when it comes to, helping people put people in a better place, and the value behind using the data to be intentional to go after the right people instead of just shotgunning and hoping that I get lucky. So excited to be here with you guys.
So what I'm going to do, guys, here's how the run of show is going to work, as they say. So Eric, Scott, and I are going to kind of talk about our respective businesses, products, services. I'm going to actually take you through a live demo of key steps. So I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. But really what we're talking about, and I love how Scott references the point of thought, right? We all understand the point of sale and then everything that happens forward. That's what I call the traditional loan manufacturing process. And for right or wrong, the industry as a whole does that pretty well. We've kind of figured that out over the years, how to create a kind of a better consumer process flow and streamlining that through technology. We're not really going to talk anything about what happens once somebody's in the process. We're truly talking about, with this kind of partnership here, this package, if you will, we're really talking about how to win at the top of the funnel. And the playbook has been put out there for all of us to see and study and understand, right? I have tons of respect for Rocket, They're right here in my backyard, like 20 minutes from my house. And so
Who's
if you think
that?
about
Who?
yeah, right.
Who's that?
I mean,
I don't know who that
it's
is.
like 10 years ago, right around 10 years ago was the iconic Super Bowl commercial, push button, get mortgage.
Wow,
Right?
it's been 10 years.
Wow.
Somebody's
Wow.
going to fact check me, just like they're going to spell check me. But it's been, it's been a number of years. And if you think about what happened after that commercial, push button, get mortgage, there was this arms race in our industry at the point of sale for point of sale technology. Everybody had to have it, right? And so when I think about what we're doing specifically at FinLocker with our Key Steps product, and then what we're doing in aggregate, is we're really talking about a similar playbook where we've created this ecosystem of tools and executions to help loan officers show up earlier in a consumer's financial life. And this is what I love about, Scott, what you coach on every day is, yeah, there's tools like Key Steps, there's tools like Model Match, but all those things are tools until you learn how to execute and put them into play. And that's the beauty of this kind of package is, Eric and I get to bring really cool tech and a combination of tech and data to the table. And then Scott gets to kind of mastermind how to make it work and work effectively for the average originator that's quite busy just dealing with their business at the point of sale. I'm going to share my screen now. And
yeah, you guys make it so I don't sleep. So I'm just saying, you guys give me all this really cool stuff that gets me excited. I was up at 4 this morning man.
No sleep and no PTO, apparently.
No
right.
PTO. Yeah, no PTO. Oh, we had to bring that up. There we go. That's live. That just made the airways.
Here we go. All right. So let's do this, guys. All right. So I'm going to start with the back end of the Key Steps product. This is what we call our admin portal. So every originator has access to the back end where you would see your consumers in aggregate. And then just for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to zero in on a single consumer. And this is our friend, Chris. So those of you that know FinLocker and know Key Steps, you already know Chris. But and I'm the loan officer in this instance. So here's Brian, the loan officer. Chris is my consumer. And so the visibility that I have as a loan officer on Chris is kind of summarized here on this screen. So I know when Chris created his account back in September of 2024, when he last logged in, like 10 minutes ago, when I just logged him in so I can do this demo. And then there's some other cool information that I know that's activity, like, if Chris is tracking values on any properties that he owns, I would see that here in a range. I would see any high level activity on Chris's activity in terms of, searching for properties for sale. But where it gets really interesting is as I scroll down, the visibility that I have into Chris's readiness, his financial readiness for, in this case, buying his first home as an early journey first-time home buyer. So the consumer, when I show you the consumer side of it, sees the same visibility around these 4 stars. So we're measuring every consumer's readiness based on their cash to close, how much they've saved for down payment and closing cost, their income and employment, their credit, and then finally their DTI. And so that's our 4-star rating. So the loan officer sees that in real time for all of their users. And then you'll see a summary of your users' credit consumers. Whoops. You'll see a summary of your user's credit score. The credit score for the user updates every 7 days. So the consumer gets an alert. They see that. You see it in a 10-point band. And then our newest feature that went live about 2 weeks ago is what we call Buyer Vision. And so Buyer Vision is empowering the consumer in the app to share in real time visibility into kind of their financial picture relative to the transaction that they're preparing for. Let's level set and say this is a prospective first-time home buyer. And so as a loan officer, when Chris, my consumer, shares access to Buyer Vision, which happens from the app, I'm going to see a snapshot of their credit score. I'm going to see a summary of their total monthly liabilities, their monthly debt payments. You'll notice a couple fields here that are blank. So we're in beta, but V1 is the snapshot is really around the consumer's kind of credit picture. But in the coming weeks, we'll be adding in the income and employment information. We'll also be adding in a summary and snapshot of someone's assets, how much they've saved so far, coming right from their linked financial accounts. And then we'll be calculating the DTI off of that monthly liabilities, against that income.
Can I say something about what you're talking about here?
Yeah, please do.
So the cool part about what Brian has built is it's a closed ecosystem that I think that's probably one of the biggest, most important things about what Brian's built. And it's access into a borrower's that you give access to a borrower's insight. And maybe you're going to talk about soft pulls. I don't want to jump ahead, but it gives you access into where they're at, where they're going at the point of thought, and it gives them reason to come back into the system to see where they're at. So whether they're ready, not ready, maybe they're ready, maybe they need to tweak this, tweak that, because we all know with a 50-point bump in credit score, it's a huge difference in rate, could be a huge difference in rate, which means thousands of dollars down the road, depending on how long they keep the loan. So the beautiful part about this is this does not trigger, and I don't, we're getting close to not having trigger leads, but we're not there yet. So it's a closed ecosystem. It doesn't trigger anything. It doesn't let anybody know what this borrower's doing for you as a loan officer. And it gives you access into where they're at, where they're going, what they're doing, their debts, the good, the bad, the ugly of every single borrower and there's so many more things to talk about, but that's just one thing that I love about what you built, Brian.
Thank you. And this is the fun part for me. I love when somebody outside of the company is talking about the value prop, because it just reinforces that what we've built and developed. So Scott, you brought up a couple points that I'll hit on, and then I'm going to pivot over to the consumer side. So as a loan officer, when my consumer shares their Buyer Vision, not only do I see a summary of their credit score. So usually, most loan officers are running single bureau soft credit pulls kind of at the top of the funnel when leads are coming in or when prospects are kind of first hitting their door. And on average, I did a little study. On average, I learned that the average cost, and this might be on the low side, is about $20 for a single bureau soft credit pull. And so, if you're doing 10 of those a month, that's $200 before you even turn the lights on, right?
Right.
And we're not suggesting that you don't ever run a single bureau soft credit pull, but we also know that in that first consult that we have with a consumer, and when we start asking questions around their credit, if there's any squishiness in their answer, then we recommend you come here first, invite the consumer to create their
Yes.
Key Steps account, share the Buyer Vision report, because now I can look at it as a loan officer and say, oh yeah, Chris, your score's in a good range. I don't see any red flags. So we would highlight if there was any, kind of red flags around late payments and durags. And so, Chris, let's go ahead and I'm going to order that soft pull, and we'll get you into a formal pre-approval. Conversely, instead of maybe seeing the 810 to 819, maybe this is a 580 to 590, right. And I've got, a red flag around lates or durags. There's really no sense for me to go spend $20 for that soft pull yet. Now I can actually work with my borrower to kind of help them understand where they are today, but get them on a path to address whatever that credit shortfall is.
Well, and how many times do you get asked, "Hey, are you going to pull a hard pull?" Like they're smart enough to know. Are you going to do a hard pull?
Yep.
Like they ask all the time. So it's like, well, it depends on which way you want to go. Where are you at in the buying process? Are you 90 days, 120 days? Are you a month? Like, you have a contract? So if you have a contract, yeah. But if you're just starting out and looking at homes, maybe we can not pull it. So that's where the beautiful part about this is.
Yeah, and your point, Scott, the closed ecosystem. This is a one-to-one relationship.
It's a
and
big
so
deal.
I know you can't see it, but there's Chris's name. Welcome back, Chris. And now I just pivoted over to the consumer side. So I'm going to scroll down. Here's Brian, the loan officer. So this is that one-to-one Brian and Chris consumer. Now, Chris wears a lot of hats for us. He's also our realtor in this example. He's the consumer and the realtor. But what I'm going to do real quick, guys, is I'm going to take you through the consumer side, show you some of the high-level features. This is not going to be a deep dive key steps demo. If anyone wants to go deeper, just reach out through message, hit us up. I put a link in the chat already. We'll drop another link in at some point. Somebody from my team may do that as well. But you can get a full-fledged demo. But so here's key steps. This is the product. Loan officer set up in here. All your contact information. 3 calls to action on the card. This opens up a email thread. You can put your link to your online application in here, so you can go seamlessly from preparing to buy to ready to buy to apply by going right into your online app. And you also can put your calendar link in here. And then, as you notice here, loan officers are able to partner with agents. So you can have an infinite number of agent partners. This is where it gets really interesting when we start talking about the model match key steps kind of synergy. So as you identify those target agents in your community that you want to work with, this is a great tool to leverage as a benefit for those agents to work with you, because you can give them their own ecosystem to engage their prospects in here as well. So co-marketing, coexisting with an agent exists. Let's go back to the top. The consumer comes in, they're identified in one of 5 personas. So either an early journey first-time home buyer, there's this getting ready as somebody that's within 90 days of being ready to transact. So we do have a lot of LOs that use the technology to stay connected with their pre-approval pipeline. Overcoming challenges.
So just to clarify, these will send out automated messages in relation to where they're at in the process.
That's right. This
on a regular basis.
Key steps in FinLocker, we are not a CRM, but there's some CRM-like aspects of this tool.
I like it. Cool.
So I'm showing you the web. This is also a native mobile app. So when consumers create their account, 85% of them are doing it on mobile. So now the communications that happen from the app are always going to be coming from the Key Steps brand down to the loan officer, and they're going to go out via push notification, email, etc. And so all those communications are data driven based on either changes in the data or progress that a consumer is making towards their goals and objectives. So it's a persona based platform at the consumer level. I'm going to focus on the early journey home buyer, but just know that this product also highly engages past clients as well. And you'll see some of those features real quick on that.
Yeah, and just to clarify, you can upload your whole past database into this.
The answer is yes, but I would say in today's current state of the product,
okay,
you're typically going to leverage your own database and then fire off invitation emails from your CRM.
Cool. Yep.
But we are bringing a couple features to the product in the coming months that will allow you to just drop a database in of early first-time home buyers, past clients by persona, and then they'll get put in a very specific cadence and campaign. That's coming soon. We'll probably do another live for that one.
Cool. And just to recap, I can't stress this enough. So this is at the point of thought. His system is the point of thought. So this is what Rocket's doing. This is what Rocket's spending hundreds of millions of dollars on, and going wide and deep. Like the Super Bowl commercial was to get people into their ecosystem. This is the exact same thing, but to put your people into a closed, your own one-to-one ecosystem where they're not going elsewhere. They're coming in and checking their data, and they're checking their score, and they're checking their liabilities and debt to income and all that stuff. That's the cool part about this. You're, like, the chance of you losing them to Rocket is less than using this.
Yeah, or anybody else.
Or anybody else, for sure. Yeah, they're not the only ones, but that's
it's a race to the consumer. And tomorrow I'm interviewing Bruce Gerke from JD Power, and that'll be my Friday's podcast. It'll stream live on Saturday on LinkedIn. Little shout out.
There you go.
And Bruce, JD Power's about 75% away through their 2025 survey process, and he's going to kind of sneak peek for the audience on what their early findings are. He's kind of already given it to me, but no secret is that consumers are armed with more knowledge and access to knowledge than ever. And so, especially the young generation of first-time homebuyers, they're digitally native or native digital, whatever that is. So they're starting their process truly at the point of thought before they typically are going to search for real estate. And the JD Power study is going to prove that not only is it a good business strategy to get in front of consumers early in the process, like before they're searching for properties, but it actually lends itself to higher satisfaction, like exponentially higher customer satisfaction, higher loyalty, and a higher likelihood of them referring a friend, family member, a neighbor to you as the loan officer. So come back Friday for our podcast on that with Bruce from JD Power. Okay, I'm going to go fast now because I got to leave time for my guys here. Real quick, what your consumers have access to is a set of credit tools. So they're going to get their credit score. It's going to update every 7 days. The consumer's automatically enrolled in credit monitoring. So any alerts on the credits profile is going to signal to the consumer, hey, there was a hard credit pull by XYZ lender that alerts them to come back in and check that out. Guys, yesterday, the FHFA director Pulte announced that Vantage 4.0 is now accepted by the GSEs. There's a lot of work to do on the mechanics of what that's going to all come to play. We've already got Vantage Score in our technology, and we're in the process of upgrading from 3.0 to 4.0. We were already doing that. And so very soon, the same Vantage 4.0 score that's going to be used in the mortgage process, the consumer will have access to.
And that's directly related to TransUnion. That's directly related to TransUnion.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we have a credit simulator, Credit Compass, which is really a credit goal tool, and there's some education content around there. We have a set of personal financial tools where consumers are prompted to link their assets and liabilities. So think checking, savings, investment, but also credit cards, student loans, auto loans. And then the app brings in all the transactional data from all of those linked accounts, which then powers our personal budgeting tools, as well as tools to create savings goals linked to those bank accounts. So these are all tools that every aspiring homeowner, home buyer uses and needs to use. And now they're using them all in your ecosystem. Beyond the financial tools that we summarize for the consumer when they've connected those accounts, they've kind of got this single pane of glass view of their financial life. For your clients that already own properties, they can link those properties, and I say properties plural. You can have multiple properties that you're tracking in the app. And so we bring in an AVM that updates every 30 days. That's another engagement opportunity. And what's different about our property valuation strategy than other tools that are out there is we're not doing a public records lookup of the mortgage deed of trust and then a reverse amortization to get to what the expected or estimated balance of the mortgage is. We actually prompt the user when they connect their property to actually link directly to their mortgage account. And so as an example, if a payment posted yesterday for this property, this mortgage, this balance of $870, $531 and 54 cents is pulling directly from the servicing account. So our view in here of that estimated equity is much more accurate, dynamic, and timely. And you can have multiple properties that roll up in here. I'm going to go fast, guys. We also have for the user.
I would just say get a demo, man. I mean, I would just say like get a demo so you can see everything that's behind the scenes in this thing. This is huge.
I'm just going to flash a couple things. We do have a national real estate search, so consumers are able to search for real estate in here. They can favorite properties. So when they favorite properties, we overlay the search, the property that was favorited in search with where it fits in their budget as well as their estimated payment. And you can have multiple favorited properties. So kind of like a stare and compare when you're buying something on Amazon, you could favorite a bunch of properties and see how that fits in your budget here. And then let me go back to the screen and just this is the meat and potatoes of the app, guys. When a consumer fully connects to their financial accounts, credit, assets, income, and employment, which they can connect also directly to their payroll, their employer portal. This readiness assessment is an evergreen, always on assessment, leveraging that consumer permission direct source data, and then also aligned in this case with this consumer's goal of buying a home for $295. And so now the consumer has this kind of perpetual view of their readiness. You can see they have 4 stars here, but they can come in here and let's just say right now that this consumer set themselves up for a 5% down payment. But if they wanted to understand what it would look like if they actually put down 20%, so they could potentially avoid MI, this is going to rerun the analysis. And it's probably going to take us down to 3 stars because we just went below. We just created a down payment that's greater than what we've saved so far, but it immediately updates the associated payment with that. I can do the same with the DTI, right? So right now this consumer came in and they kind of set themselves as wanting to not be house poor. But if someone wanted to max out their approvable, their purchase power, they could slide this DTI bar all the way over. And it's basically going to rerun, and it's going to take their total affordability now from $425. I don't like that number. Let's switch that number. That's kind of eerie. So you could see it. The sliders that we built in make it very easy for a consumer to kind of find their sweet spot. What's really interesting, guys, is when a consumer sets up their app and runs readiness, we find that they run on average 4 different scenarios every time they come in here. And then they can favorite those scenarios, and those are stored off, and they'll see them when they come back in. There's a lot more here, guys. The one thing I'll leave you with before I hand it over to Eric is this: what we've developed for you here, like Scott's already said, and I kind of mentioned, we've given you access to a toolkit and technology that otherwise has only been available to the largest of the largest institutions. And we know that consumers are using credit improvement tools, credit monitoring tools, budgeting tools, spending analysis tools. Obviously, millions go to real estate search portals every day. We've brought all those tools into one app, one ecosystem. We put you on the front and center as the hero that delivers that. And again, to reinforce it, this is a one-to-one ecosystem where you, the loan officer, and your borrower, consumer, prospect have this engagement where none of this data is available to anybody else, and your agent.
And agent, unlimited number of agents. Yeah, co-branded.
There's a lot here. I want to hand it off to Eric to talk about Model Match and how you can leverage Model Match to identify and build strategies to get in front of those target agents and others in your community. So with that, let me remove my screen. I went fast.
All right, let me. I'm going to try to.
I could probably do the Eric part. Just saying.
I got to figure out. Make sure I share the proper screen.
I'll see it below before you share it, and then I can.
That's pretty cool how that works. Yeah.
Okay. Hold tight.
Yeah, you're good.
I appreciate you doing this, Brian.
No, it's fun to do it with you guys for sure.
Well, as I was watching your presentation, Brian, what I was also thinking about as I open this up, it looks like my screen's reloading, so hang tight, is You talk about education a little bit as you go through this, and I'm thinking, I have a 21-year-old son who, makes a little bit of money. He doesn't have a lot of assets. He does have a credit score, right? And he certainly has goals. You think about the long game as an entrepreneur or a business owner or a commission salesperson. I can't imagine like if I could get thousands of young people working on something like this, that is my pipeline. And then that pipeline becomes my value going forward. And truthfully, if I'm gonna go ahead and share, Brian, if I, we talk about data, we talk about intelligence, we talk about technology, we talk about AI, like every day somebody's asking me about what are we doing relative to AI. And I still believe that the moment that we're in, all of this matters from an efficiency perspective for sure, but there still has to be some trust building along the way if you're going to maintain some sustainability in your business and also some scalability, right, in your business. And so, and I was kind of geeking out on what you were showing me, because I'm almost thinking about not even the person that's close to being ready to buy a home, but from an education perspective, if you are the one that coached me or educated me, I'm probably going to come back to you for the rest of my life. I'm never going to stop. And then Scott, you were making a comment about, large companies that we've just talked about that are, if you don't own your intelligence, they're going to come after your intelligence. And by the way, good for them. That is what they should be doing. But it's your job to stay on top of those current relationships, past relationships, and be in a position to know what to talk to them about and when to make that phone call or send that text message or hit them up on social media or whatever the case may be. So I think, so we're looking at my screen right now. I'm going to go really, really fast, Brian and Scott. And Brian, you've been a user of Model Match for quite a while for your intelligence needs and also for your business development. Scott, you just recently signed up. Of course, you're a,
yes,
both of you guys are a great example of understanding that you can get this data from multiple sources. The question is, what is the environment like? What's the performance like? And then also, our brains are always on, there's data visualization, which we want to be the best at. But how far can I get you down the funnel before you even start to engage with someone? And so, Scott, you had mentioned earlier, and Brian, I think you said it as well, Finlock or Key Steps, great tool to be able to create value for your agents. Absolutely. But if I'm going to go into a market and say, well, I want to build a list of agents that I want to target, and I want to present these tools and resources that I have that can create value. You know what the first thing is you might want to know is who not to call. Right. And I think, Scott, you were mentioning how many agents. I wasn't going to do this, but let me from like, Model Match does a lot. We have a pipeline management CRM environment. We're not drip marketing kind of company, but we do have a contact management environment. You can email, you can text, you can make phone calls from the software. Everything gets ultimately dispositioned. We have a reporting environment. We've got some curated lists that curate agent connections based upon your NMLS ID so that you don't have to go search for anything. We'll just curate it for you and show it to you. But where most people start is in what we call market insights, and that's the data environment. From market insights, you can look for anything. You can look for, originators, agents, companies, branches. You could even plug in an address and it's going to take you to the property. Most people don't know this. Funny enough, I just learned this recently. You could plug it in an email address. And as long as we have the email information on somebody, it's going to pull you up that agent or that loan officer or whomever. So you don't have to go to another page. You can do everything from here. But let's do an example, guys, because you guys brought this up early. If I plug in agents in Charlotte, North Carolina as an example. So it's going to say, hey, looks like you're looking for agents in Charlotte. If I click on it, the map is going to take me to Charlotte within that boundary. And then real quickly, we're building a list of all agents. You can sort it by buy side or listing agent. You look below my cursor, there's over 9,000, right? There's over 9,000 that we found in just a couple of seconds. But check this out. I'm not going to put in, I could say this many units. I could give it a range. I could give it a range of volume. I could do lots of things from here. But let's just say only those that have done one transaction in the last 14 months. Let's see how much it drops. Look at that. It went from 9,000 to 3,000. Whoa. And by the way, that's just one transaction, guys. Like I haven't even given it this still isn't the list that I want to work off of, but that is one particular transaction. Now, look, from here, if you want to reverse engineer this and switch to 8 loan officers, you'll see how quickly it moves over to LOs. You don't have to go to another page. Again, we're starting with the top LO. So this is your list from top to bottom, the biggest producers in Charlotte. If I want to switch this to branches, I could switch it to branches. And now I'm looking at the top branches just within Charlotte, North Carolina. If I want to start going outside of that range, I could do it. If I want to stack counties on top of each other, I can start stacking counties on top of each other. You can go really as deep as you want. Brian, I know a lot of times I think you probably look for mortgage companies. So you know kind of what is the summary detail of an organization that maybe I'm about to call on. Keep in mind, these are just companies that have a headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina. But one of the biggest use cases from here is you can go into Model Match and you can just start building a list that meets a very specific criteria. So if I switch this back to, let's just use loan officers, you guys can see how you can reverse engineer this without having to go to another page. But if I go back to Charlotte, North Carolina, and let's just kind of start over. I can start going into my filters and I can filter by a ton of things. So right now I'm going back to a national search, our guy from Guaranteed Rate that we see. Am I back? Do you see me, Brian?
Yep.
Okay, making sure you guys can see me. It looked like it bugged out for just a second. So I'm on loan officers right now, but if I want to filter this list and look by people with certain companies, maybe I don't want to look at banks and credit unions. I can look at who they're selling their loans to, how many licenses they have, loan types. We have, tons of products that obviously you could choose from. These are all stacked on top of each other if you want to do that. I can eliminate duplicates. We have duplicate detection. So if you've already put somebody into a project and you just want to remember, oh, that's right, I've already called this person before, we can show you those duplicates. Once you build your view, though, we also have a chance for you to save your view. You can build as many lists as you want. There's no nickel and diming. Build all the lists you want. And once you do that, let's go to a list I've already done. So let's go Charlotte loan officers that are doing between 10 and 30 units. So this is a list that I built earlier. I'm in my demo environment. I'm in Charlotte, no banks, no credit unions. It looks like we're doing a little bit of FHA, a little bit of VA also that we've layered on top of it. 10 miles within Charlotte, over 65% purchase, and between 30 and 100 units in total production. So this is a saved list. It's top to bottom, top originator at the top, scroll all the way down. If you want to do something with this list, this is where it kind of gets a little more interesting as well. You can select up to 1,000 at a time. I could push that into a project. I can export it to a CSV file. I could push it into an integration that maybe we have. And we have a ton of different integrations if you want to push that into any sort of drip marketing campaigns. Let me look. There was one saved view I was playing around with earlier. Maybe it was this one. Okay. So from here, again, you can take action on these folks by pushing them into a pipeline. But if I want to actually start looking at someone, let me just go find. So if I want to look at Matthew Ridley here as an example, this is what a contact page will look like inside of Model Match. And this is what you'll start viewing before maybe you go make a phone call, right? I'm going to minimize some of this. So here's your loan officer. An agent view would look exactly the same. You can go look at their company. You can look at their branch. You can see we've pulled contact information. We got email address, phone number, a LinkedIn page, a website. We've got some summary details down the left-hand side. Date ranges, fully customized. You go back to the beginning of time. The NMLS ID was added to the recording at the end of 2016. So you can go back to 2017, or you can select a custom date range if you want. Right now, I've got it on 14 months. This is interactive too. If I want to look at unit count, I can switch it to unit count. If I want to look some trend analysis, 14 months over 14 months, I can see how this person is trending over their last 14 months. What a great conversation starter as well. Hey, it looks like you're up 14 months over 14 months. We also layer their transactions against the market. So in this case, you can see Matthew over here is up. And Matthew Ridley, if you're on this call, I hope you don't mind that I'm using your statistics for the here. Matthew's a real person. I don't know Matthew, but Matthew's up 100% over the last 14 months, where the market's down 26%. So again, great conversation starter if you're going to reach out to this loan officer or this agent. One of the things that Model Match also does is we give you a chance to filter a whole lot deeper than just looking at data visualization. So let's say, I'm a company that's looking to add some VA loan officers into my market. I can just look at the VA business that Matthew's done. So this whole screen just switched to only the VA loans. If I go look at his agent tab now to see what agents he's connected to, I'm only looking at the agents that he's done some VA transactions with. So I can really skinny it up to have better engagement when I go make this phone call. Again, remember, same thing you can do on the agent side as well. If I take out that filter, now I'm looking at all agents that Matthew has worked with over the last 14 months. Then it's going to populate not only the information of what I've done with them, but what they've done with others as well. I can see my wallet share. I can go view what lenders they've sent loans to, what loan officers they're working with, and go from there. One use case that a lot of companies use when it comes to increasing the amount of business you're doing with contacts you already have. Matthew over here could go to his agents, go up to where it says all transactions, switch this to seller side. And now I'm only looking at the listing agents that I've worked with. But maybe I've never done a buy side transaction. What an easy phone call. I can reference a property. I can reference a borrower. If you want through Model Match, you can actually see the detail on the property that maybe you were connected with this particular agent. So you can see those agents. Again, you can see the lenders and where they're selling their loans to. Matthew looks like he's with a broker, so there's probably going to be a number of companies that they're sending their loans to. I can see what title companies they're working with. Somebody's asked me before, well, why do you show title? Well, if you're trying to engage with this person, if you're somewhat local, you might know the First American rep, and maybe that rep knows this loan officer, and it's an easy introduction. We do show employee history. If this person happens to be a manager, we'll show all the loan officers that are part of that branch as well. Same thing on the agent side. So you'll see it's pulling up all the LOs. The branch did 280 million in volume in the last 14 months. And here's all the loan officers from top producer down to the lower producer that you can then engage with. I was showing you earlier where you can build lists. If you're on a page with people, you can build a list. You don't have to go back to another page to do that. So from here, I could push to a CSV, I could push to an integration, or I can work them directly inside of Model Match. So that's a really high level view of what you look at when you go into Model Match. Now, a couple things I'll show. One thing I do want to show, Brian, you were talking a little bit about past transactions and how those originators can get value from past transactions, what you guys are doing inside of FinLocker right now. Well, Matthew here, if I click on transaction tab, we're going to show you all of his transactions over the last 14 months because that's what I'm looking at right now. But if I clicked on all time, you would see every transaction going back to 2017, regardless of what company that this person has been with. And we're going to give you a ton of table settings to be able to view. Now, where did this come up? This came up with things like, I don't want to lose my database, right? Or I want to make sure I'm getting value from my database. Well, in Model Match, that's already built for you. If you have a login, you've got your entire database going back to the beginning of time. But also inside of Model Match, if you want to filter this and say, only show me FHA loans that were done between certain date ranges, we give you a chance to go get borrower insights, which essentially is borrower contact information, email address, phone number, what's their rate, it's calculated rate, what's their current payoff amount, equity percentage, AVM, but most importantly, the contact information.
Yeah.
So we kind of viewed it as rebuild your database. Well, that's an obvious, but what if you could look at your database and go get value from past contacts or transactions that you've had in the past? Because Model Match should really be about the outcome of growing your business, not just winning one more agent, not just winning 5% more with an agent, not just recruiting an LO or a branch. It should create value for the entire enterprise to just simply do more volume, as an example. So that's kind of a quick run through. One other thing I'll point out real quick, and then I'll hand it back over to you guys, is I'm a loan officer. If I want to go in here and build out some criteria for agents and build a list of agents that I then want to go take action on, that's great. But if I go to Pulse, and so that's this little rocket ship right here, what Pulse does is we basically take your NMLS ID and we build a list for you. Here's all the agents that you've had some connection with over the last 24 months that you can then filter by buy-side transactions, only listing agents, those that have active listings, which, by the way, will show you the active listings and the property details on those active listings, property connection, borrower connection, and also low cash. Show me the ones that are generally financing most of those transactions, right? They're not cash buyers. So we build this for you. Also inside of this, we do give listing alerts as well. So what Model Match is constantly attempting to do here is not only how can we give you an environment where you've got data visualization, right? And so you could do your research, but how far down the funnel can we get you with, so that when you engage with these people, you actually know what it is that you want to talk about? And then how can Model Match continue to curate information so that you're doing less work to build those lists? So you guys both know Model Match does way more than what I just showed, but I think that's a good little preview, especially as it relates to maybe value and partnership with key steps as an example.
Man, I love it. And you
That's
nailed
a
it.
lot.
I'm
Just
on
killed it.
it every day.
Great.
Like
Great, Prezi.
I'll see somebody comment on a post, and if they're a loan officer, I go look them up on Model Edge. So that's like
that's right.
it's the ultimate Snoop tool for me. Scotty, let's.
I thought you were gonna go Snoop Dogg on me.
Yeah, maybe later.
Little gin and juice.
Let's talk about the MLO Live community that you've built up.
Super excited.
And how this all ties together.
Yeah, so the big I could go so many directions with this, and I could spend the next 2 hours talking about this, but I think the big thing is the data, like using the data like Eric talked about, making sure you're strategic, make sure you're intentional with the right people, your past database. One of the big things, and I just get chills talking about this, we already know enough people. We don't need to get more leads, buy more leads, know more people. If we just communicate, engage, interact with the people that already know, like, and trust us, the agents we've worked with, like Eric showed, it shows you all the agents you've already worked with. Are they doing business? You can check. Do you need more agents? What do I say? So many people look at the data, just look at it and don't know what to say. So in MLO Live, we talk about how to do social selling. I call it selling with the fingers. A couple of my friends, like I'm not creating that name. I swiped it from a friend of mine. He's like, social selling with my fingers. Built a 7,000 agent relationship going from one state to another. It's one thing to build it and be connected with them. It's another thing to how do I approach them and what do I do to be top of mind and bring something of value above and beyond what the average LO is doing. Give me a deal, give me a deal, give me a deal. So we talk about scripting, we talk about communication, engagement, visibility, staying visible, the different tools, systems, and strategies, like classes. I'm doing classes now, and I just rolled this out today. We had our first class. That was great. So I literally showed how to use Facebook the right way. I feel is the right way. It's not about what you post. It's how you engage with other people. I show you in MLO Live how to bring the human aspect back into business. I truly feel, guys, that in the last 20 years, it's been a transaction-based, not relationship-based. If we don't get our crap together and go relationship-based and remind people who we are and what we do for a living, stay visible, remind people like that we are in the mortgage business, like simple things like use the little bit of real estate we have in social media that of like who we are and what we do for a living. Like so many people I talk to, their phone number and email isn't even there to communicate, engage, interact with. If somebody comes and checks them out, you have a 30-second window, not even that, maybe a 7-second window, first impression. So a lot of the things we talk about, and it's not just me and MLO Live, there's so many people that are doing so many things. And what I found out after doing this MLO Live show for 5 months is everything works. Every niche works. Every single one. There's not one niche that I'm like, that didn't work. Because it works. And so it's like, what is it that you love, that brings you happiness? There's so many people that I've talked to, LOs, that burn out. Why are they burn out? They're doing crap they don't like. Mm-hmm. So what if we re-engage with the stuff we do like? And that's what we're bringing back. Like, that's the beauty part about MLO Live. It's not just me. There's different business owners. There are different coaches. There's like zero expectation of anything in return except for to give back to a community that's given so much to us and share with them different strategies. Like I don't know how many times, Brian, you're on almost every call. There's commonalities to every single person. And the number one commonality is using the right data, making sure you're going to lunch, going to coffee appointments, having Zoom calls with agents that are actually doing something. Right. Like why, like we all have 24 hours in a day. Why waste any second of any day with somebody that's just not in it? It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just like I need to provide a livelihood for my family. I want to be happy again. I don't want to spin my wheels doing stuff with people that aren't really in it doing anything. Like Eric showed, how many not 7,000 agents didn't do anything in the last in 12 months.
Yep.
So when you tie in the data, you tie in your past database, which Brian, you've mastered, and you create a closed ecosystem. And now you can check the data to make sure that, am I going to a coffee appointment with somebody that might work out, or am I going to a coffee appointment that with somebody that's actually doing something? And then can I lean, like, here's the big thing we teach: how to lean on the relationships we already have. Past database, their friends, family, coworkers. I call it the 5 Ds: death, divorce, diamonds, diapers, and debt. I teach you how to lean on those past database to pull out. Everybody in their phone right now has somebody, and we 1 to 2 per 100 per month are going through one of the 5 Ds. And here's the thing: I not only teach you as a loan officer in MLO Live to connect, engage, interact, be visible, use social media the right way, use Chat GPT. I don't know, a secret. It's kind of a secret like site and nobody's heard of, but Chat GPT is a thing that we teach on a lot. And there's some really amazing people that have mastered it at a super high level, and they bring all that to MLO Live. So it's just a bunch of givers. And then and then here's the thing: once you learn it and you do some of the basic stuff, go back to the basics. One of the commonalities I hear from a lot of speakers is, man, just go back to the basics. Yeah. So we take you back to the basics and then go teach your agents to go back to the basics. Then you tie in the right agents doing the right things, using social media the right way. You take your system and you tie it all together. It blows my mind how easy it is and how kind of boring it is, but it provides an amazing living for the people. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but I know I just throw this out there. Laura Whitty, she's going for 200 million. She closed 18.6 million last month. But there's no business, and inventory sucks, and rates are too high. So what is she doing? So those are the people that I have on the call, and those are the people that I don't know. I'm just excited to have you, Eric, and your data and unlimited data, and just no nickel and diamond yourself to death, and all the like. I wish we could talk a whole hour about just the data, because then you take the data and go, all right, where do I want to go with it? And what do I want to do, and what do I want to say, and how do I say it? And we put a plan in place, and there's some automation, but mainly it's just bringing the human back into the relationship. And then Brian, you take your stuff and take the database, your past database, and lean on those to get other stuff. So it's exciting times, to be honest with you. I love that there's so much chaos. I love AI is like killing people right now and thinking that it's going to take people out of business. I love change. Change is a level playing field for everybody, which is a beautiful thing. But some people deal with it, some people don't, and we're just moving forward and chugging along and doing amazing things. And I'm bringing the best into MLO Live, and that's the exciting part that we all together. Brian, you're part of it. Eric, you're part of it, and so it's just it's pretty cool. Thank you for what you guys bring to the MLO Live. So I appreciate.
Well, if I could, I know Brian, we're running close on time. Scott and Brian, I think one of the reasons why we get excited about this stuff, even though I think we all are of the age where younger people would say we don't know how to utilize social media, we don't know how to utilize technology, is that we all built books of business without any of this.
Right.
We did it with none of it. Like, I remember back in the day where you would get, if you were a member of the MBA, you would get a CD-ROM, and that CD-ROM was the database of the org chart of the companies that you were trying to call on. Hey, guess what? 5 minutes after you got that CD-ROM, it wasn't valuable anymore because it was just static information. And so, what you guys are doing and what we're doing is taking the old school best practices that work as it relates to engagement and building trust, but getting you further down the funnel before you ever do it. And then, Scott, something I know that but sometimes I feel like we have to be careful when we say using data, using intelligence. Well, most people think visualization. It's like when I was a little kid and I'd before school, I'd open up the paper and Larry Bird was my favorite player. And I'd see, did Larry outscore Magic? Yeah, I knew that was coming. Did Larry outscore Magic?
Larry who?
But what am I doing? I wasn't gambling. I wasn't playing fantasy basketball. I wasn't doing anything with that. It just made me feel good or feel bad. And then I sort of moved on. The beauty of the intelligence through Key Steps, through Model Match, through other platforms as well, is that not only can you identify opportunities that are low-hanging fruit, but when you make that phone call, it is not a cold call anymore. Right. There is no such thing because you have something to talk about.
You bring up a great point, Eric. There's you should never have to make a cold call with the data you provide, Eric. And like their listings, their buy sides, the sell sides, their past database, everything, the last deal you did with them, all the stuff that comes into it. And then the social selling piece, the likes, the comments, the happy birthday videos, the stuff that I teach, there's no such thing as a cold call.
Right.
You know, I always like to say, master cold calling. You don't need marketing. Well, there's no competition on that, so we'll just stick with what we're doing.
So let me put a bow on this because we are at the top of the hour. We'll start losing people to their next appointment. But so for one, this will sound like a Ginsu knife commercial, so I apologize in advance. But
I love it.
What we've set up, guys, is one subscription. So Key Steps, we sell, FinLocker sells Key Steps today for $175 per month. So any loan officer, whether or not you're part of an enterprise, can get Key Steps for $175 a month. That's the month-to-month, cancel at any time. You know, it's no long-term contract. We do give you a discount if you pay annual, but for $175 a month, that's Key Steps. What we've added to that subscription is the Model Match access. So Model Match has several tiers. We're including the starter standard tier. I think you call it standard, if I'm not mistaken, Eric. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the starter, and generally you're getting pretty much what I showed on this on this demo. Yep.
So for the price of Key Steps, you're going to get that Model Match starter, and we're including a community membership in MLO Live, in the MLO Live community. And I think, Scott,
I just added, so today I just added the Fresh Agent Marketing to it. So your own form. So when you send it, every week we do a class for you to invite unlimited number of agents, and you get your own individual form. So when an agent opts into it, you get notified right away, and they get automatically set up into the Zoom meeting. So that's included as well now with the whole thing that rolled out today.
Yeah. So selfishly from the FinLocker side, what I'm excited about is I've always been excited about our technology, our product. Eric and I have already said this. I've been a user of Model Match, so I consume it every day. And now wrapping the MLO Live community around this with Scott's coaching is really all about execution. It's all about adoption and execution, because you guys don't need another piece of tech in your stack. We know that. We're putting our money where our mouth is, and really we want to bring the execution to you and the expertise around that. So that license fee, that Key Steps license fee, now has the goodness of Key Steps, Model Match, and the MLO Live community. I think we've dropped the link in here a couple times for you. Again, if anyone wants a deeper dive demo on Key Steps, reach out to me or my team. Same with Model Match, reach out to Eric. And then I would invite you all every morning, 9 a.m., go to mloliveshow.com. And that's the free access. And then that's a 30-minute show Monday through Thursday. And then the community is 10:30 to 12:30. There's like
so we do 3 days a week. We do 1 hour, so you get me for 3 hours a week, and then you get agent coaching for your agents, unlimited number of agents. So we're going to grow that community now, so we're super excited. So you don't have to wait for answers to what you're working on. We work on it as a group, and that's the cool part about MLO Live. It's just not just like, hey, one and done every other week or every week coaching. It's, you got a question, you got a strategy, you come in, we talk about it, we walk through it. We give you ways to overcome whatever you're feeling, inspiration, all different things that go with like putting yourself out there. Some amazing stories. Like it's unbelievable who is a part of this thing and who shows up, and the giving heart that people give to this community and the people that are in this class. Like it's I don't know. I'm beside myself on that. So
hey, I'm going to throw something in there just as a surprise, because I love you guys so much. You ready? I'm gonna do the giveaway of the giveaway for only for those that sign up for
you didn't tell me about this, man.
I just thought of it. It's like this gets me in trouble, but whatever. Anybody that signs up, free tickets to any Hickory FC semi-professional soccer game. If you're ever in Hickory, North Carolina, you sign up. I'll take care of you. You'll even get a free hat trick lager on the house.
Oh my God! I'll be there.
Brian, that's on
September, bro.
Free. Just feel free to pass that along.
I'm just going to show up and say, I know the owner. Let me in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
At lower league soccer, it doesn't mean a whole lot, but come find me.
Eric, Scott, thank you guys. Thanks for the partnership. Thanks for spending time together today. We already have clients that are taking advantage of all three, which is awesome to see. I'm excited about where this is going to go. Again,
Yeah.
thank you for joining today.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Honored to be a
guys.
part of this, guys. Yeah. Congratulations on everybody taking action, and anything we can do to help. Zero expectation of anything in return, whether it's us or somebody else. We're here to help, and all of us have the same mindset, and my whole team has the same mindset. Everybody inside of MLO Live has the same mindset, and they'll talk with anybody, anytime, any place, whether you work with us or not. So we're here to make this community an amazing place. So thank you for everything you guys do, and I'm super excited to change the industry for the better.
Right on. All right, we're going to sign off, guys. See y'all.
See you.